And we are live. So this is Performante podcast episode 14, the start of something new. Going to be a little bit teaser, so I'll let Nathan start it off.
Hey everyone, welcome to the 14th episode. Glad to have you here. Today is the first day of December, and we are going to be starting something new. Still going to be podcasting, but we're hoping to deliver one podcast episode every day for the month of December, just because we know Christmas is going to be looking a little bit different. The holiday season is going to be a little bit more lonesome. So you're welcome to come chat shit with me and Keith here. We just want these episodes to kind of be short, informal sessions, or maybe we break down the day's crypto news, relevant events that we think are happening within the world of finance, and trying to impasse as much practical knowledge as we can. And so, yeah, that's our goal. Podcast every month or every day for the month of December, and we're kicking it off today.
Yeah, and what better way to start it off? First, just looking at the overall markets. We haven't made a podcast in a minute, so obviously huge news for Bitcoin. To be completely honest, I think we called that pretty well perfect in terms of the break and retest of the 10K zone. Right when we saw that nice squeeze, like around 10.1, back in kind of like mid October, we were really calling bullish. And if you haven't been following our Discord or TikToks or really any social media platform other than the podcast, you would have definitely known that would have been a really good opportunity. So hopefully you guys are profiting. Hopefully you guys have some level of exposure in the market, and we can talk about different opportunities, not just BTC, because there's equities, there are different alts that we are looking at. So yeah, hopefully you're doing pretty well. So in short, massive move to the upside. Right now, I think it's looking like an ascending triangle. What are your takes, Nathan?
Yeah, I'd agree with that. I think that we formed that initial resistance at 19.6K and then rejected twice off of 20K. Some exchanges reported all-time high. I think majority did. I know spot on Binance, Bitcoin slash USDT did reach an all-time high. Love to see it. Last time that happened was in December 2017. That was the peak of the 2016 bull market. And now here we are in December now, but November 2020 when the all-time high was broken. And with the having just been in May, I think we're looking forward to another 12 months of bullish market or so as we fall in accordance with that 2 to 3 year bear market, 1 to 2 year bull market cycles that we have been seeing year over year. But that does not change the fact we haven't retested 20K, which I think is a major milestone within the current market structure for Bitcoin. We've bounced off of it twice with solid rejections, but once we confirm buying interest at 20K,
Mm-hmm.
then we're going to be looking to set new highs.
Yeah, I completely agree. I think some people are almost but like they're bearish just because they didn't accumulate throughout 2019 and kind of 2020. And a lot of people are wanting pullbacks, but I kind of tell people like if you're waiting forever, you're eventually going to miss this train. And it's climbing pretty quickly. So like Nathan and I have been talking about, we get asked all the time, what's the exact perfect time to enter? Well, if you're a complete novice in trading, I would definitely suggest, yes, it's great to have TA knowledge and it's good to be able to use leverage to your advantage and trade instead of just invest, but dollar cost averaging, especially in a bull market, when you're averaging in within the lows, with if it pulls back 20%, 25, 30%, these pullbacks will happen, right? And if you are not prepared for these emotionally, you're going to be selling because you're going to think, oh my God, I'm going to lose all my profits. This is not going to go back up. It looks so terrible. But at the end of the day, you got to look back, look at the weekly, look at the daily. And I think that's how really Performante has really been able to kind of keep it a good head on its shoulders in terms of a branding kind of company. Because at the end of the day, we're global macro perspective in a crypto world. I think we're not just looking at Bitcoin chart and that's all we're looking at. We'll look at gold, we'll look at silver, we'll look at the dollar, we'll look at stocks. All these different assets play a role in how we view the market in cryptocurrencies. So Yeah, it's multi-asset analysis, and I think not enough people do it. Nathan and I always talk about what stocks are doing, what the dollar's doing. We can even talk about gold and silver right now, actually. We were actually just talking about how silver is actually looking really bullish if it does pass the around $25 range. Any thoughts on that?
Yeah, so just to add on, it seems like at least within the world of silver, we've found the pretty firm bottom near $22 with a couple areas to confirm it as support. And it looks like we're trading in a descending triangle. And I think if we break above $25 per ounce, confirm it as support, then realistically $29, $30 doesn't seem so far away. Have been in a little bit of a bear trend while equities and crypto have really been taking off. It's interesting to see metals on the sideline in this kind of circumstance. And there's been a lot of speculation as to what's going on. If the last metals run was organic with accusations going against JP Morgan, and now that they kind of got outed, now it's trading in downward consolidation while the rest of the market's hot, not appreciating, and it's not generating cash flow. People are dropping it. They're moving elsewhere with their money.
Hmm.
I
Yeah.
think S&P gapped up to all-time highs today. Dow fell back below 30K. Nasdaq's up. The market's speculating they're looking to take on risk, and right now I think the primary risk that they're taking on is in tech stocks, growth stocks, crypto, and unfortunately neither gold or silver.
Yeah. I think it comes in phases. There was a point in time when gold and silver were absolutely mooning and kind of everything else was sitting on the sidelines. And it's not like gold and silver is retraced back. Actually, let's look at the larger time frames. I was looking at the Nasdaq, but yeah, like we're talking about gold consolidating and pulling back, let's say like 13-ish% from its high it made of around $2,000. But if we take it back to the weekly, we broke out of a $1,400 level of resistance, and that was the bottom right there. So from $1,400 all the way to 2K is a massive move. It's like a 50% move, right? So I think it's good to have perspective and understand that we just have a massive push to the upside. We unfortunately broke below the previous all-time high, which was around 1900. We're trading around 1810 now, so not ideal. We even saw the monthly close. So yeah, the gold isn't looking great. Like I said, or like Nathan said, silver is, in my opinion, looking better. You definitely went over the exact steps that I'm looking to have confirm me before the entry for that. But yeah, it's looking pretty good. Let's just take a step back into the Nasdaq here because tech definitely does look like it's getting a lot of love here by the overall markets. We see a nice squeeze right here. Very well respected symmetrical triangle, and then you got that nice zone of confluence that is finally breaking to the upside. Does look like we have traded above that previous all-time high today. Yep, we did. So, well, I guess yesterday or today was that day for the all-time high. So overall, I'd say completely agree with you on that. It's looking pretty bullish. If we are just using the geometry of the symmetrical triangle on the Nasdaq, let's just quickly take a look at where we could possibly be for a first level of TP or where there's going to be some level of resistance or hesitancy. It's around like 13.9. So that's a pretty significant move, and I could see the bullish push.
Yeah, we're at a point where realistically people are looking to take on those riskier assets. And long until wrong has been the motto.
Yeah,
Just want to keep speculating, keep going with whatever the momentum is. But with
definitely.
with all these vaccine news, or with all the vaccine news, positive outlook in that regard, it does not seem that it'll slow down anytime soon. They say that the stock market's a speculation into what will be happening 6 months from now. And if this is how it's dealing now, then why would it slow down? Because it seems with the way vaccines are developing, Trump's getting out of power, so we're going to see some higher level of financial, socioeconomic stability. as they explore new trade deals, different levels of international cooperation. It doesn't seem like there's much of a further downside unless we just see a true capitulation of the economy. But I think we're straying away from that reality and more towards the light at the end of the tunnel, metaphorically speaking.
Yeah, I definitely agree. It's a weird situation we're in because earlier this year, I was thinking the first option where equities would fall a significant amount. I was definitely worried about crypto, but the asset that I was not worried about was metals because I genuinely think that if that were to happen, if there was a major economic downturn, the US and central banks around the world are not going to just let people starve and have malnourished kids and stuff. They're going to print money because they can in order to try to sustain the living conditions. And that would create a massive amount of inflation, especially in a country that is so consumer uh, heavy, I guess you could say. Like let's say unlike Japan, they're not very forgiving of prices increasing, so they don't have a whole lot of deflation, but or they do have a little bit of deflation, but they're very stable. Unlike the United States, it's a very consumer facing country. They like to buy shit at the end of the day. So, that velocity increases and then they're inputting more and more fiat currency into the system. That's a recipe for gold and silver to absolutely moon. And we're not really anywhere near that environment right now. The US dollar is falling by a decent amount. We were looking at that 91 ish, 92 zone for the DXY, which is the US dollar currency index, and it fell below it, right? And we've seen a symmetrical triangle right here back in kind of like March all the way to May, move to the downside, strong impulse push. We saw a wedge, strong impulse push to the downside again. And I think we're kind of gonna really take a move to the downside until like 88 is kind of the next major level of support right here. So if the US dollar is falling, that means that there is people that are willing to take on a significant amount of risk. The only real time that people are going to be looking at the US dollar is when there's massive uncertainty, massive fear within the overall markets. Like we saw at the start of the COVID pandemic, everyone rushed to the dollar, gold, silver, crypto stocks, everything fell except for like Japanese yen and the US dollar. So the only real environment where that would be feasible would be if there was like a massive second wave, which was way more significant than the first one. And like we touched on before, with the vaccines, like Pfizer's already, I think, in their phase 2 studies, I don't exactly know, but they got some really positive data, and that's going to be creating a lot of certainty, obviously. So I think long until wrong, and look for continuation patterns to the upside.
100% on the same page there. I'm really interested to see how 2020 wraps up just because it's been a pretty wild year so far. And who knows, maybe we're not out of the woods yet because anything can happen. There's no rhyme or reason sometimes for how events occur. And 2021 could start with a bang, but either way, tune into our daily podcasts. Get your fix of crypto, finance, and everything in between. Would really appreciate it. If you all ever have something for us to talk about, you're welcome just to send us a link on Discord. We've got a pretty active community there. There'll be a link in the description if you do want to join. Love to have you because we just kind of want this December podcast sessions to be entertaining, to be fun, to be valuable to you guys, and that calls into question what you all want to see. Drop it in the comments, shoot us a message. We're reachable. But do you think we should wrap up the first episode?
Yeah, definitely. I thought it went really well. We covered a bunch of stuff. There's a lot of stuff to cover that we didn't go over, so we have a lot of stuff coming up for the daily podcasts of December. So stay tuned. If you do have some time off your hands, we are putting these on other platforms like Audible and what are the other platforms? I kind of slipped my mind.
Oh, yeah. So we filled out our application to be accepted on Spotify, Apple Music, Audible, Google Podcast, Podbean, and as well as YouTube. Those are still pending, but you will see us on those platforms coming soon. It'll be audio only. So stay tuned for that. Just trying to make this more accessible for everyone at home, wherever you may be on this wonderful planet Earth.
And how perfect of a way to end it. Awesome. Well, thank you very much for watching. We appreciate you tuning in for the 14th episode of the Performante podcast. Until next time, have a good one, traders.
Take care.